Welcome back to Zero Production Value Movie Reviews. I'm Eric Hoernke, and today I'm going to be discussing the 2016 film Suicide Squad, written and directed by David Ayer. So this is part of the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe, which is DC's obvious and somewhat misguided attempt to copy the Marvel model for the MCU. Marvel has spent the last 10 years building something the likes of which we probably never see again. A superhero-based film empire where they're using familiar characters, unfamiliar characters, all adding them into the same universe, coexisting in the same story. And almost all the films are really good. DC pretty much has the exact same tools with which to work with. Only they're the DC superheroes that we know and love so well. Arguably a more popular cadre of superheroes than what Marvel has to work with, outside of maybe like Spider-Man. But like they have Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, the Flash, right? They have a built team with the Justice League of America. So, but somehow, because the people at DC can't really get on the same page, the same creative wavelength, and put together a cohesive, all-encompassing story, they just seem to be fumbling it at every turn. And as we stand right now, this Suicide Squad comes after Man of Steel and Batman v Superman in the DCU chronology, but we have already lost both that Batman and Superman as far as casting decisions. Batman has been recast, and Superman currently doesn't have a actor portraying him. It's in limbo. So into that comes the Suicide Squad. I mean, they were there at the time, but now in 2020, looking back, you know, this is where we've come. In 2016, they obviously still had Superman and still had Batman. And since this is off the heels of Batman v Superman, Batman is still looking to put together the Justice League. That hasn't happened yet. Obviously, we haven't had Wonder Woman, we haven't had Aquaman, and Superman had died at the end of Batman v Superman. In any case, so when the trailers for this were released, I was really excited. The trailers made it look really exciting, using some interestingly lesser-known characters to put together what looked to be a good team of bad guys, right? And this seems like a blatant attempt to capitalize on the antihero popularity that's sweeping through films, especially now, you know, encompassing everything from Breaking Bad to Deadpool, right? And in the Marvel universe, they had the Guardians of the Galaxy. And so once again, DC is like, we can do that, but we can do it better because we can be darker, right? So nominally, Amanda Waller played very evilly by Viola Davis. She's actually probably in this film that's supposed to be of bad guys and bad people, she's actually probably the worst of the worst. She puts together this team of bad guys. She sells the plan. Hey, we're gonna put together this team, and at first there's reticence, obvious reticence, but to her credit, she sells it, hey, this is like we can easily control these people, and we can use them for bad jobs that we can't send anybody else to do, whether they be wet work jobs, no-win scenarios, and if they die in the process, who cares? They're expendable anyway, hence the Suicide Squad moniker. So she gets them all collected at basically a black site prison in the bayous of Louisiana, I believe. And they include people such as, characters such as Deadshot, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, El Diablo, Killer Croc, Enchantress, Slipknot, and Katana. Not all those are imprisoned, but those are all the ones who come into play in the formation of this team, let's say. And Rick Flag is a, career soldier kind of guy who is tapped to be the basic group leader / zookeeper of this motley crew, played by Joel Kinnaman. And obviously with such a large group of people, some stories are going to get shoved way to the background. And we nominally focus on two of them, being Deadshot and Harley Quinn, mainly because of the star power there. Deadshot being played by Will Smith, Harley Quinn being played by Margot Robbie. So, along with that, let's get into another fatal flaw of Suicide Squad, and that is the fact of this whole anti-hero thing. Let's say it exists on levels of badness. So the whole selling point of this movie, the whole selling point of the Suicide Squad by Amanda Waller, is that these are the worst of the worst. In all our other anti-hero stuff, we get characters who have been bad and now are sort of corrupted by the spirit of good, shall we say. Right? Whether they be the Guardians or whether they be Deadpool, right? They're fighting for a good cause now, even if they are sort of quote-unquote anti-heroes. By anti-hero, we almost mean more like they just sort of play by their own set of rules. But Suicide Squad was different. These are supposed to be legitimate bad guys. People who kill for money, people who, destroy for no reason, bad guys. But part of the problem is we need sort of positive characteristics to root for to give them the hero part of the anti-hero balance. So DC has essentially painted themselves, and David Ayer has essentially painted himself into a corner because now he needs to give these characters who are the worst of the worst redeemable qualities, so we can root for them as they go forth and combat, the forces of real evil in whatever narrative plot they set up, right? Whether that takes the form of Deadshot's little daughter, who he seems to be doing everything for, or whether it be Captain Boomerang's love for little pink fuzzy unicorns, right? It's kind of silly, but it does give him an endearing quality and a humorous element to his story. And then everybody else has various levels. Diablo, he falls in the middle, not like really discounted, but he gets us the story of how he killed basically his family with his power, and therefore we feel sympathy for him, and he is seeking what he feels is redemption, which he pretty much knows he cannot be redeemed. Therefore, that's what he's living with. Yeah. So it puts them in basically a setup to fail from just a thematic point of view with these characters and whatever they're going to do. So Amanda Waller has gathered all these people, and then the plot plays out. It has to do with Enchantress basically going rogue and releasing her brother, and they're like these uber powerful sorcerer things, and they're basically going to destroy the world. So wait a minute, did Amanda Waller combine this team to fight threats, but then she basically released a threat on the world with the Enchantress, and now they need to go destroy that threat? So that makes a lot of sense. The whole plot is just sloppy and full of holes and just doesn't make a lot of sense. And you actually get to the point where the Suicide Squad is essentially free to do what they will because they're basically kept under a thumb the entire narrative of Amanda Waller and Rick Flag in order to do what they're supposed to do, right? They need a way to control these bad guys, and they have that. And at some point in the narrative, they no longer have that, and Rick Flag basically goes, I need your help, and I want you to help me, and all these bad people are like, sure, we'll go help you and save the world. Once again, betraying what are probably supposed to believe is in their better nature, when all they've done their entire lives is look out for themselves. But like I said, they need redeemable qualities, and so that's what they're going to do. This whole plot is just an unfocused mishmash. So empirically, not a very good movie. Because it's in the DCU, we do get glimpses of that overall story, like I said, as DC is trying to shoehorn their extended universe in. So we get a glimpse of the Flash, we get a glimpse of Batman, the Ben Affleck Batman, who's no longer Batman doing stuff. And probably the most notable is we get another incarnation of the Joker, played by Jared Leto. A lot of people didn't like his performance of the Joker. I was fine with it. In a world where the character has been done so many times and so many times so well, it's hard to really find your own lane. And I thought he did a decent job. You might not like it, but I think he did a decent job in finding his own lane with his neo-goth, glam, industrial vibe that he had going on. I thought it worked just fine. Ultimately, though, there is all that being said, even in this grand mess, this is still somewhat enjoyable as just watching some superheroes, do some superhero stuff on the screen. And a lot of it, too, I would give to Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. I think she does a really good job of inhabiting that role, and I was hoping we would see more of that character going forward. And just this year we got Birds of Prey, which I have not yet seen, but apparently it didn't do very well, so now who knows what the future of the Harley Quinn character is as far as seeing her in live-action DC films. But everything considered, I would say that this is sort of a guilty pleasure kind of movie. It should have been way better than it was. It should have had a better script. The actors were all fine, but given what they had, they just did what they were given. I think if they'd been given better material, a better script, this could have worked out very well. Because it was a very well cast movie. But it just conflicted thematically with itself and ultimately wasn't very good. But not so bad as to throw in the trash. So ultimately, I'm going to give Suicide Squad, written and directed by David Ayer, a C-. And that's a pretty generous grade for essentially a guilty pleasure pile of trash. Like I said, there are some good things to be had in this film. I love you. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching my movie review. As always, I'm Eric Hoernke, rhymes with turnkey, and this has been a production of Zero Value.